Aside from real estate, what other industries do you like to get involved in?
Well, I focus more on the real estate industry, and I also do clubs. I've been buying a lot of really, really well-located and well-built clubs lately, golf clubs and other types of clubs, but mostly golf. I like golf. I'm a golfer. And I've been doing really well with them. I'm buying them at big discounts and fixing them. You know, usually they're in trouble, and when they're in trouble, they need fixing. That's part of the reason they got in trouble. But I'm fixing them, and I have a great deal of fun doing it. I'm buying tremendous pieces of land in great locations, and you know, really, really good stuff. Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, New York. We just bought a beautiful one up in Dutchess County, Hudson Valley, we call it. It's called Trump National Hudson Valley. We have a tremendous success with it. One right next to Pine Valley in New Jersey. And we've really had great success with the clubs.
Well, the majority of the people that I interview are celebrities and politicians, and they all need heightened security, just like you do. And I often wonder, I think the public does too, what's it like in their personal life, the people who know them in their inner circle? What would, if I were to ask those people what you're like away from the lights, what would I hear?
Well, I think the word heightened security is an important word, because you can have 1,000 people that love you, but you can have one wacko that doesn't, and you need security at a certain level. And I'm very security conscious. I have quite a bit of security, and you know, generally speaking, you won't need it, but it just takes one event, and you don't want to have to go through that event. So we're very security conscious. I mean, my life is an interesting life. I had two lives. I had before and after The Apprentice, but I was very well known before The Apprentice. I guess that's why they wanted me to do The Apprentice. But this has become a little ridiculous. You know, I've had #1 bestsellers. The Art of the Deal is the largest selling business book of all time, to the best of my knowledge. And that was a great honor to have the #1 best-selling business book on the New York Times list and every list. But if you look at what's happened now with The Apprentice, if you somebody said to me the other day, which is more important, having a #1 bestseller or having this hot television show? And I will tell you, the television is definitely cooler.
I noticed in your office you have some helmets. Are you a sports fan?
I am a sports fan. I love sports. I have one from Tom Brady. I have one from Brett Favre. I have stuff from Ben Roethlisberger. I have a lot of baseball memorabilia from St. Louis Cardinals, great first baseman, as you know. He's Pujols, who's Albert. He was in the building. He gave me a jersey. I have a lot. I have Mike Tyson's championship belt. We have a lot of different stuff. And it's a little sloppy because there's so much, but people love it. That's the first thing they want to go to and look at, so I leave it.
Yeah. From all your accomplishments, which would you take the greatest pride?
Well, you always want to say family, but when you get out, because that's the nice answer. People would say, oh, he didn't mention his family. But I have really good kids. I have nice kids, and they're doing a good job in the business, the ones that have so far gone into the business. But, I mean, my real estate stuff has been fantastic. And we haven't been on a big binge over the last 3 or 4 years like a lot of my friends where they went binging and they've got a lot of problems. We really have a solid company. We have a lot of cash. We're looking for good investments and primarily real estate because that's what I like, that's what I know. 3 or 4 months ago I was saying, you know, I feel like a fool not having been in the stock market, but now I feel much better about it because the market seems to be coming back down, way down. You look at what's going on in the Gulf, where British Petroleum has done such a poor job of whatever they're doing. You would think there'd be some kind of a method of stopping this horrible oil flow. I've never seen, this is a massive tragedy. This is beyond anything I've seen. This is, you know, you hear environmental and you hear, this is beyond any of that. This is a massive tragedy. And you look at what's happening and you just say, why are they bringing other companies in there? Why are they telling ExxonMobil to get in there? Just everybody get in there. That you got to stop this thing. This thing is just pouring out hundreds of thousands of gallons of fuel a day, barrels. And, you know, I look at things that happen and you realize, I mean, there's so many things you can do in this world. That's the one right now. They got to stop it. It's horrible. I've never seen anything like that. I've always had this great respect for the oil companies. Not that they're good people, or not that they're bad people, but I always thought they knew what they were doing.
This tragedy is repugnant. It's
I've never seen anything like it. I think, you know, you can understand storms, and you can understand hurricanes. Of course, no hurricane has ever done this damage, but you can understand hurricanes. That's a force of. This is just a mess, and nobody seems to know. They don't even know if it's going to go off. You know, I was hearing the other day that if these two holes that they're trying to drill don't connect miles down, this could go on for years. So it's really a very tragic situation.
Speaking of mistakes, from mistakes that you've bumped into, which ones do you wish you could get a do-over?
Well, I like to say that you can make mistakes, but don't make them so big that it takes down your entire company. I have friends who have gone into deals that were bigger than they were, and the problem with that is that not all deals work. You know, you can take the greatest deal makers, and I could name them right now, and some of those deals, some deals that they made were no good. You don't want to make a deal that can take down your company. Now, that means maybe you're not going to make this giant deal, but you don't want to make deals to take. I know one particular guy, he made a deal much bigger than his company. It turned out to be a disaster. The company went down. It's just gone. And, you know, there are many of those instances. So I have made some mistakes, but I think I've learned from the mistakes, and they haven't been tragic mistakes.
Well, you have an obvious passion for production. The Apprentice, the pageants, even gaming, they're all in that family. Where does that interest come from?
Well, I like the glamour of certain things. Even in real estate, I was offered the other day a warehouse in Brooklyn with a guaranteed return. I had no interest. It's just not for me. I said, you know what, it's good. Bo, we can buy it. We make a return. I say, it's just not my kind of a thing. I like Fifth Avenue. I like whatever. But it just wasn't my kind of an asset, even though it was a good deal. I'm pretty sure it would have been a good deal. It was almost a guaranteed return. I like things with glamour. I like things with, you know, a certain sweetness that you just don't get very often. When I bought the Miss Universe pageants, they were very sick, but I saw they had great potential. Now they've been darlings. I mean, they've been amazing. The Miss Universe pageant and the Miss USA pageant do fantastically well. In fact, I've done so well with them that Miss America, that was just, you know, recently thrown off television, ended up just signing a contract with ABC because I made the pageants hot again. So they owe me big league, but that's fine, because it's good that they're back. I think it's positive.
You have an enormous skill with branding and marketing and rebranding. What would you give as advice to small and medium-sized business owners for branding and marketing?
Well, the first thing is you have to have a good product. If you don't have the product, forget it. But assuming they have a really good product, you have to get the word out. You know, I know people that are better singers, more talented than Frank Sinatra. You'll never hear about them. I know one in particular, a person who really is talented, always practicing, always rehearsing, and yet if the New York Times calls for an interview, no, I'm not ready yet, I'm not ready yet. They're never ready. You got to get out and do it. Also, you have to sort of let the press know that you exist, getting good ratings on things. Like I have golf courses that have high ratings, and then once you get the ratings, you got to let people know you have the ratings. It's a long process, and it takes a long time. I was very happy the other night. Snapple financed and spent quite a bit of money on doing the final episode of Celebrity Apprentice, where Bret Michaels won. And I see Brand Week came out with this huge article, what an unbelievable deal Snapple made, that their awareness went way, way, way up because of Celebrity Apprentice. Now, that's my deal, and I'm very happy. I didn't know that they were able to measure that so quickly, but I see very distinctly that they can. And the people of Snapple, who are terrific people, they made a great deal. You know, they just made a great deal. But that's a branding thing, and this was actually Brand Week that did it. And I'm very proud to help somebody else do something with respect to their company. You know, they pay you for it, and that's what they're paying you for. And when it hits, like Snapple hit, it really makes me feel good.